Welcome everyone to Be Digital's SEO training event. Today we're changing it up. We're actually going to do our topic on search everywhere optimization. So I am Lauren Clay. I'm the marketing director here at Be Digital. I've been with the company over 4 years and I've been working in the digital marketing space for over 10 years now. If you'd like to reach out, my email's here, LinkedIn. Happy to connect with all of you, and if you have any further questions once the event is over as well. So today we're going to talk a little bit about traditional SEO and the basic fundamentals. We're also going to be talking a bit more about what search everywhere means, what it means for your digital marketing strategies. We're also going to be looking at how AI is transforming the impact on search behavior and digital marketing strategies, and how to develop strategies for different platforms and what to implement for 2025 and beyond. Okay, so what is SEO? So when we're talking about SEO, we're really focusing on how do we increase the quality and quantity of non-paid search traffic to your website. It really helps search engines understand what your services and products are about, so you get more qualified users to your website. A big benefit, obviously, of doing SEO is driving more consumers to your website, increasing traffic without having to pay for every click. So it's a more sustainable way of doing it. Okay, so just a bit of understanding what is search everywhere. So it's really about optimizing on different channels other than just traditional search engines like Google and maybe Bing. YouTube is a really big one. It's now the second largest search engine. People are using it for, obviously the shorts, all the different types of video content, trying to gain more information on different topics and products. Social media, of course, has, been present for a while, but, we have TikTok search, Instagram, Pinterest, so lots of different platforms that businesses can be on to connect with their consumers. We have different marketplaces, and then also like specific local searches and directories like Google Business Profiles. And we'll go into all these in more detail throughout the presentation. Okay, so where do we put our focus when we're talking about search everywhere optimization? So like I said, there is still a lot of focus on traditional search. Google is still driving nearly 2/3 of all our web traffic, so we definitely don't want to forget about our traditional search engine optimization. But we don't want to forget that, people are searching through social media platforms, and we have about 40% of young people that are looking at platforms like TikTok and Instagram for answers to, questions that they have. Because there is so much information out there, there's so many more different touch points as well that people have before making a buying decision. Users averagely visit about 7 different platforms, at any given time. Obviously, we have our AI chatbots. ChatGPT, we have Gemini, Grok, big go-to resources for people to get detailed answers about specific questions. And this is really good at building brand awareness. We also have e-commerce channels and other niche channels like forums. Reddit is a big one, and as well as different podcasts as well, voice search. So many different options that we have out there. So one of the main focuses when we're talking about optimizing for traditional search is really that quality content. Google's big focus is on the EE80. So we have expertise, experience, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. So if you can really show to Google that you're an expert, an educator in your industry, and providing that really detailed content that makes you stand out from other competitors is really going to make such an impact, and especially where you rank in Google as well. You'll probably also notice a shift in the format of Google searches as well. As you can see in this example here, there's a lot more visuals in place. We have video in the SERP, like in the featured section. We have shorts as well. So there's a lot more visualization, and that's what we have to consider, adding images and videos to our content strategy, not just traditional text like blogs. So just some best practices here. So for when you're adding images to your website, whether it's for products or just adding it to service pages or blogs, we want to make sure that we're keeping the file size fairly small. We sort of aim for 100 kilobytes or less per image. This also makes sure that it doesn't slow the website down, and just make sure that we have good user experience. Another important factor is the file name. It seems like a small detail, but it's an important one not to forget. Just make sure you're descriptive with the file name, not using some random numbers or letters. Be descriptive, and same with the alt text as well. This is important for ADA compliance, but just remember that Google doesn't visually see images or videos. It's reading the text associated with the image, so it's going to give more context to what your page or what the topic is about, and it's just another indicator to Google what the content is about. Okay, so video. Video is such a great way to enhance your content. It really can help engage visitors for longer. And when we give those positive signals to Google, that's going to help us rank better ultimately. We can also add, this is more of like a technical SEO aspect, but video schema. So this is like more detailed data that we can manually add in. And again, is just giving search engines like Google more context as to what the video is about. Videos are also a great way to just like enhance that storytelling piece and connecting with your visitors on more of like a personal level as well. And then it also just helps with indexing. So Google does index videos. And so it's just another way of being visible online, not just in the traditional search, but also in the video section as well. Another key aspect on traditional search engine optimization is we really want to make sure that the title tags and meta descriptions are well optimized. Now, these are just key aspects of, if you put in a Google search, let's say this example here, dog training classes, and you have your different searches, the title and the description, it's the first thing that your visitors are going to see and what's going to make them decide to go on your website versus someone else. So making sure that these are accurate to what the content is on the page, being descriptive, adding any sort of location if it's relevant, and some sort of like call to action to help them engage and sway them to click on your website. So these are really important. If you have a WordPress website, there's a lot of popular different plugins, Rank Math, Yoast, to help you to where you would create these title tags and meta descriptions. So another really key aspect of search engine optimization is a good internal linking structure on the website. Not only does it help with users to navigate onto different pages, it just helps with user experience. It helps keep them engaged longer, which is another really positive signal for Google's algorithm. And it also helps Google understand the hierarchy of the content, interlinking different pages, relevant blogs, really, again, is giving Google more information as to the topics and for the different pages and blogs and just the content you have on the website. This is one we'll refer to a lot. Quality content is never going to go away. We always want really, really high quality content on the website, whether it's for people coming directly to the website or other platforms. This will be a common thread that we'll talk about throughout the presentation. We want to make, there's so much content out there. So if you can provide the expertise in your space, and that's also relevant to what your visitors are searching for, addressing their pain points, giving them resources, FAQs, is really going to be helpful, and you're going to be an educator in your space too. Another key aspect of search engine optimization is the backlinks and building up more links to your website. Again, we're really focusing on the quality here. We want high quality backlinks, pointing from external websites to your website. A key thing here is the topical relevance. So you want them to be relevant to your industry and the services and the products that you provide. So again, it's giving Google another strong indicator that you're trusted in this space. What's important here is making sure that the anchor text that links from an external site to your site is descriptive, and again just gives more context on the topic. We also have more local listings, we call them directory listings, but this is really important for local businesses. The biggest one is Google Business Profile. Making sure you have one of them set up is really important. It's common you see a featured multiple featured Google Business Profiles if you're looking for a specific service in a particular area. And then the next thing is, when we're looking at where the links are coming from, like I mentioned, we want to make sure that it's relevant to your industry and the services or products that you're providing. Sometimes can be a challenge getting those higher quality backlinks. They're not usually as easy to acquire, but they are going to be of higher quality. So, definitely we're talking about quality versus volume here, is really important. Okay, so now we're going to kind of switch it up, and we're going to talk about the impact of AI on how users are searching. So I'm sure all of you are using, including myself, we're using ChatGPT and other AI search engines to find information. It's a great way to get answers quickly, and we're not having to spend time going through different websites and trying to gather and collate information. You may have noticed now we have the AI powered SERP feature at the top, which is a great way to just get like an instant answer. So it's definitely changing the way people are searching, and people are focusing on those answers that are given right at the top of the Google searches. One of the things that's important to note is they do focus on brand awareness. So they are now increasingly citing more sources. So it's a great way to get your brand name out there. And we'll go into more detail as to how we can do that. And we're looking at the generative engine optimization. So this is really a shift from keyword focus approach to more of a relevance and the context of the content. And like I mentioned, the branded searches are definitely becoming a big indicator to tools like ChatGPT as to whether they'll source your content or not. And we're also looking at how structured the content is. Do you have an FAQ section? Is it sort of that natural language content that's more focused on being more relevant for AI as opposed to just general searches in Google? So how is user search behavior really changing? Traditionally we know when we're doing our keyword research and how people are searching for things, it used to be a lot more focus on just keywords, but we're definitely seeing a shift from keywords to more questions and phrases. People are using more like natural language questions instead of just keywords. A lot of this is because of voice search. More and more people are using voice search to get information. No surprise here, but everyone's using their phones to search, and then we're also using visual searches, so images and videos are becoming more popular as well. Okay, now we'll look at some more social platform specific tactics to consider. Now we're kind of giving you various different options. This is all going to be would be dependent on the industry, what platforms your visitors are primarily using, where your communities are kind of having those conversations about specific services, topics. So it's to kind of make sure you're targeting effectively, having done that previous research to decide which platform is going to be successful for you is going to be really important. Otherwise, it's very overwhelming to just try and do it on every platform. So just a general overview of some different social platforms that are important for businesses. Pinterest is a great one. It's very visual. Just make it some kind of best practices, making sure you use the keywords of your image in the titles, the descriptions, the different board names, and of course making sure you're using high resolution images, and just be consistently posting on Pinterest can really help increase your following. With Instagram and Facebook, again, considering the keywords that you want to use, the different hashtags, and the different influencers that maybe you can collaborate with is a great way to kind of boost your visibility as well. Similar with TikTok, kind of doing some research into what are some trending hashtags in your space and using those when you're creating and adding videos on there as well. And of course, influencers is a big one to help give credit to your products, services, or if they're an educator in the space, it's just going to open up who you're advertising to as well. While you want to tailor the content to match the different platforms, you also want to be consistent with your brand messaging across these different channels as well. Okay, so how do we optimize for AI search as people are using these chatbots more and more to find their answers? So again, we've already talked about it, the EEAT signals. Again, this is still really, really important. If your main focus was continuing to build really quality content and establishing your brand, that's, you're never going to fail doing that. Like I touched on, creating that structured content. So really developing in-depth articles with more of a focus on natural language, an FAQ section. Again, that helps address when people are using more questions and phrases in their searches. If you can get an FAQ featured in a SERP, that you're more likely to do that with a specific FAQ section. Again, we've touched on some technical optimizations, but even from a traditional search standpoint, and an AI standpoint, the technical optimization is going to be really important. So adding schema markup to your different pages, and there's all different types and categories of schema markup that you can add to your pages to give Google and other AI bots more context. This sounds obvious, but is really important, is we want to make sure that your content is being indexed and there isn't any crawling issues, so that these different search engines are able to actually find your content in the first place. Okay, so when we're looking at best practices for optimizations on these AI chatbots like ChatGPT, one thing to kind of consider is that these AI platforms definitely prioritize trusted brands when they're formulating a response. How do we do that? If you have quality, relevant links from authoritative sites, that's really going to help build your trust as a credible brand in the industry. Building those relationships within the industry and creating that content that makes you stand out and is just going to be very important. Mentioning this EEAT again, but again, this really does help give these AI tools like ChatGPT evaluate how trustworthy your content is. So if you have team members with specific expertise in the industry, any awards or credentials that you can showcase on the website, these are all good indicators that I would strongly recommend adding to your website. Another thing, again, we're always going to be talking quality over quantity. If you can really go in depth on specific topics, that's definitely going to be favored for AI engines. When we're creating comprehensive, really detailed, expert reviewed content, making sure that it's updated frequently, and just get rid of the fluff. Even from a user experience standpoint, nobody wants to have to filter through all the fluff to get to the answers to their questions. So really consider that as you're maybe reevaluating your current content and creating new content as well. So we already talked about this with the technical aspects, with the schema, indexing, but also just making sure that your website runs a good speed. And there are some tools that we'll recommend at the end, but there's some great tools that really easily show you if your website's performing well or not. So looking at some more specific strategies, ChatGPT has around 200 million monthly users, which is just crazy. As we talked about, the brand mentions is a big part of that. The review, how relevant it is as well. So these are really big factors that help influence if ChatGPT is likely to feature your content or not. So talking about some more specific channels that you could consider when you're working on your digital marketing strategy is podcasting. There's often less competition with podcasting versus blogging. It's a great way to just have conversations with other experts in the industry. If you're able to get featured on other people's podcasts, having guests on your podcasts, again, you're just cementing yourself as an educator in the industry. Voice search, we've talked about, but it's really focusing on that natural language, and people are using those voice assistants like Siri. People are using more conversational language for their search. Keeping that in mind is going to be really important. And then forums are really blowing up. Specifically, Reddit is just, everyone's going to Reddit to find real answers. It's a great community space. And so we're helping our clients to kind of establish themselves on Reddit, but from just a genuine, we're trying to help. We are educators in this space. We can provide helpful answers, and in turn, we're seeing naturally that this helps with brand awareness and driving more traffic to our clients' websites. This is dependent on whether your business is selling products versus a service. But if you are selling products, then we definitely want to consider other shopping platforms. Google Shopping is another key way of getting featured. If you're doing a search for a specific product on Google, there's a whole section of just Google Shopping. You can pay for positions on Google Shopping, but you can also rank there organically as well. And there's different ways to kind of rank better there with schema, making sure you have reviews, pricing, so smaller details like that. Obviously, Amazon is huge and it is a search engine for product discovery. So, making sure you're using keywords in your titles, descriptions, reviews is obviously a big factor to help get you ranked there as well. And then we also have helping with App Store optimization. People, if they want an app for their phone, they'll turn to, Apple's App Store or Google Play before they do a Google search. So if that's a focus of yours, this is something to consider as well. So when we're looking at this search everywhere optimization and how we're adjusting strategy, we're really trying to consider these factors: the voice search, how we change the language of some of the content is, again, very important. That visual aspect with the images and those engaging videos and a mixture of videos is going to be important. So, those short, snappy videos for YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, TikToks, those short videos that are going to grab the attention, but then you can also have more informative, longer videos that maybe go into more detail on specific topics as well. So having a varying type of video content is great. And as we touched on, we have the social platforms as well, and integrating that into your digital marketing strategy using the different hashtags and adjusting the content based on the different platforms as well. So this is just a bigger picture view to not just optimizing the website. We're looking at various different platforms. We're looking at how people are searching and trying to take that in consideration as you're optimizing your website. Okay, so how are we going to implement this? So a key thing is really just making sure that you're staying consistent with your branding and your messaging. This is going to really increase the trust of your website. You're going to become more recognizable in the space as well. Again, the customizing the content, so we're tailoring the content and really doing the research behind each of the platforms, looking at the user behavior, the types of users that you want to target, and what's the best way to engage those, what's the best type of content to engage them as well. If you are a local business, it's really important to make sure that you're keeping those local listings accurate, whether it's your hours, your phone number, your services and products that you're featuring as well. You can also add different FAQs. You can add different posts to Google as your Google business profile as well. So they're really great ways to make sure that you're staying visible on local searches. And as I already touched on that search behavior, there are many different tools to help you understand how long people are spending on the website. Are they converting? Are they purchasing a product? Are they filling out a form or picking up the phone? There are a lot of different analytics that you can use to help understand that, to then help formulate your strategy. So we have various different tools that are available. Some are free, some have paid versions. If you haven't got these set up for your business yet, I'd highly recommend it. From a performance standpoint and reviewing the analytics, how many users you have to your website, there's Google Analytics 4 and Google Search Console. They're two really big ones we use all the time when we're reviewing how our clients are performing. The page speed insights, that's a great tool to see how well your website is performing, like how quickly it loads, if there are any problems on mobile versus desktop. So they're all free. You just have to make sure that you get them set up correctly, but otherwise they're a really great way to get insights into how the website is performing. There are also so many different tools to help you with keyword research for your specific industry. The SEMrush, Ahrefs, Google Keyword Planner as well. So if you need some ideas for blogs or video content or just some like popular topics, it'll give you search trends as well based on the different times of year. So that's really helpful. From a technical SEO standpoint, we talked about schema quite a lot, and there is a schema markup tool to help you with that. One of my favorite tools is Screaming Frog. This is just an awesome way to do a full audit of your website to see what we talked about title tags, meta descriptions, how well optimized the images are. Screaming Frog is that a go-to tool to provide you with all that information on your website. Okay, so quite a lot of information for you and kind of things to consider. Well, we appreciate all of your time joining us today. Please connect with us on social media. We're often putting out different updates, whether it's just digital marketing updates or different events that we have going on. So please feel free to check us out there. Again, I really strongly recommend considering some of the things we've talked about and implementing those in your digital marketing strategies to make sure that you continue to hold a presence online. And again, reviewing and measuring your results with these different tools that we talked about. If you would like some help with creating your digital marketing strategy or just getting an audit of your website, we provide free SEO audits, so please feel free to reach out if that's something that might help you. We really appreciate your time and thank you for joining the Digital's SEO event. Thank you, everybody.